How's everyone doing? So Strength Chat episode 35, and I am joined by, he's quickly becoming my sort of in-house nutritionist, Mr. Chris Lowe. How are you doing?
I'm very good, mate. Very good, thank you. Thank you for having me on again.
No problem at all. It's always good having you on. I learned quite a lot from the past few chats that we've had. So since the last time that we spoke, because we've covered caffeine, we've covered, what else have we covered?
Protein and protein timing and the anabolic window.
Yeah, that was the one. So since the last time we spoke, what have you been up to? Because when you came into the gym, you've been a busy man.
Yeah, I seem to be here, there, and everywhere. So still work with Hull KR and started down with Wasps Academy. So responsible for the nutrition provision for them, for like the under 15s, 16s, 18s in the senior academy.
Okay.
So that's been keeping me nice and busy. And then online nutrition coaching is just absolutely flying at the moment. So
yeah.
And then somehow turned into a full-time Instagrammer. So
aren't we all? Instagram, yeah, it's taking over everyone's lives.
yeah.
So in the lead up to my competition a couple of weeks ago, I remember dropping you a message, just asking about I need to drop a little bit of weight for my competition, a little bit of tips and advice to help with that. Now, you'll see a lot of people try and cut weight for a competition. So I thought, seeing as though you were my go-to to ask a question about that, and a lot of people have asked me as a coach, what's the best way to drop weight? I thought it'd be better actually speaking to a nutritionist. So the first question would be, how far out from a competition, whether it be powerlifting, weightlifting, or whatever it may be, should you start thinking about if you need to drop weight for a competition?
Yeah, well, great question. So I always break this into two sort of phases. So chronic weight loss and then acute weight loss. So chronic being, say, fat loss, and then acute being other things we're going to get into now. So over the course of like a training program, should we say? A training cycle. When would you say is the hardest bit of the training cycle? At the start or towards the end?
Probably towards the end when you're lifting heavier.
Mm-hmm. So when do most people start to go really aggressive with the calorie restriction to make weight?
Probably then.
Yeah. So yeah. Do you think that then impairs a training performance and a training adaptation perhaps?
Yeah.
It could do perhaps. So what I tend to do when your training volume's a little bit higher and perhaps your energy expenditure is a little bit higher from the training sessions, I kind of use that to help facilitate weight loss. So I know everybody likes to sort of go high calorie, then just cut straight into the competition. It's like the heroic sort of scene at the end when they make weight and all that sort of stuff. But I tend to like eating into the competition as much as I can. That'd be like the ideal scenario. So take your body weight down initially and then just cruise into it. So what I sort of found as well with people, athletes or lifting, especially weightlifting, is that when they sort of train at a heavier weight and then get down to a lighter one, their mechanics change a little bit. So say they're hitting the bar a little bit differently, they're catching a different position. So that completely throws them off. So I do like get them as, close to sort of the competition weight as close to their training weight as possible. Give like maybe 2 to 5% difference. And then you can take that off and last sort of, 5 days out, depending on the timing of weighing and the nature of competition, I guess.
Yeah.
So that sort of makes sense. I like to sort of take body fat down initially and then just fine tune towards the end. I don't like sort of having to lose kilos and kilos and kilos, 24 hours before. It's a lot of stress on the athlete and it's too much to go wrong. I much rather know they have like a system where they can make weight easily and they can just focus on lifting instead of, almost for them, the competition is making weight. And then like, I have to lift some weight after,
Yeah. So with that, does that mainly come down to the nutrition side of things? Because I know a lot of people will do water loading and all that sort of stuff. Can it be done just by changing your food around a little bit?
Yeah, so like your acute weight loss strategies, water loading is one thing that works, but you get responders and non-responders to it. So the one study came out like Australian Institute of Sport, what they did for, I think it was 3 days, water loaded them with like 10 mils per kilo. So if you're 100 kilos, 10 liters of water. Did that for sort of 3 days, I believe it was. And then it did like 4 liters a day and then sort of 1.5 liters. And you got a huge range how they responded. Some lost up to like 5% of the body weight, I believe it was, but some didn't really change at all. So with stuff like that, it's not like harmful in those sort of ranges. So what you do is trial it in training first and see how you respond.
Okay.
If you notice that you lose, 5% of your body weight by doing it, okay, that's probably a safe and effective strategy to lift. Because when they've shown like when people sort of drop the body weight and come back up and they compete at a heavier body weight, that is going to be more beneficial and more medals are won that way. But again, you get responders and non-responders. So if you do want to try it, just try and train in a few weeks out or like a couple of months. So, you can control everything.
Yeah. So you mentioned there about dropping like 5% body weight and that sort of stuff. What should you be aiming for? What is sort of realistic? Because you see some people that drop some like crazy amount of weight leading up to a competition, and you think like surely that can't be right. What sort of the maximum and the minimum, or what should you be aiming for?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I guess I like to go like no really higher than 5%, to be fair. Like I think with like British boxing and stuff like that, GB boxing, like 2%, where you could probably go with 5% fine. You see some people losing like 20% of some absolutely ridiculous, like the MMA type stuff when they're like near to death. Obviously, that's very bad practice and you don't want to go that aggressively. Mm-hmm. But 5% of body weight is absolutely fine. Okay. You can do that, not too much of a bother. And there's a few ways of doing it. So obviously you got the water loading, you got the carbohydrate depletion, you got like a low fiber diet, a low residue diet, and then you got low sodium as well. And they all sort of work synergistically to lose body weight. But it very much depends on when your weigh-in time is and when you're competing. So if you've got like a 24-hour weigh-in, you can actually lose quite a lot of weight. You can deplete glycogen stores, and then that takes about 24 hours for complete glycogen repletion. You can dehydrate to a certain extent, then you've got enough time to rehydrate. And then, the sodium and the low fiber diet, that doesn't really matter too much with weigh-in times. So what I'm trying to say is if you've got like, say for like a weightlifter, if you're weighing at 8 a.m., you have to say, compete at say 10, maybe 2 hours after, perhaps. That's by standard.
Yeah.
Carbohydrate depleting and dehydration strategies aren't probably ideal for them because that's going to impair their performance, not going to replenish to a certain extent by the time they lift. They could do it to a small extent, but not to a huge extent. Okay. So like studies like range in terms of how dehydration affects power output and strength. Some up to like 2-3%, absolutely fine, no impairments in strength. But some up to like 1.5% dehydration, there's like a marked decrease in power output and strength. Okay. And so, again, it's most likely individual.
So like most things that we've chatted about is based on the person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. So say for example you're weighing in and you've got like a 2-hour weighing window, then okay, you're probably going on a low residue diet, low fiber diet, like 1 to 2 days out. So that's basically cutting out all sort of fibrous foods from your diet. Basically just reduces the contents of your gut. So you get like free weight loss, which is quite cool. Which means that you can still keep carbs up, so you can still train well. But you can do this free weight loss. So that's maybe like 1 to 2 kilos. But it depends on how much fiber you have in your diet beforehand. Mm-hmm. If you have a terrible diet with low fiber, so low veggies, stuff like that, and then you've got no fiber to take from, so that strategy won't work. Yeah. But if you have loads of vegetables in your diet, like 5, 6, 10 portions, whatever it be, and then take them out, then yes, you do get a lot of weight loss that way. So that's like free weight loss. Right. Same like sodium, just don't add sodium into your foods, avoid them. And then you get maybe like 1 to 2% loss there as well. So all of a sudden, just by doing those two things, you can lose quite a bit of weight, but it won't affect your performance. But if you need to lose more weight than that, then you look at water loading and the carbohydrate depletion.
So that's sort of water loading and the carbohydrate is sort of maybe a little bit of a last resort, if you like. You need to lose a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. Or unless you've got like a 24-hour weigh-in.
Okay.
Where perhaps you can keep your body weight a little bit higher, then drop in, and then you get the sort of rebound in body weight, and you do maybe 3, 4, 5 kilos heavier in your weight category.
Okay.
So I would never do that with, say, a client or anybody who's got a 2-3 hour weigh-in. It's just too much sort of risk, and it puts a lot of stress on them and everything like that.
Okay. So
no stress as well.
You've mentioned a few strategies there. So one competition that's coming up at the end of the year is a powerlifting meet in November. A couple of people are aiming for that as a competition. Usually it takes about 12 weeks to prep for a competition. So all those strategies that you've mentioned in there, you've touched on briefly about what you would do. What would be a step-by-step stage for somebody wanting to drop down into a lower weight class across that 12-week? What would be your 12-week strategy leading up to comp day for that?
Yeah, nice. So starting off with a fat loss phase, that's what I look to do. We know that sort of rates of fat loss above perhaps 1% body weight per week. You're going to get like these compromises and trade-offs, where that's being, training performance, recovery, perhaps like adaptation, muscle mass retention, then you got hunger and all that sort of stuff. So if you keep it within like that percent, then that's absolutely fine. Obviously, if you have higher body fat, then you could go a little bit more aggressive with it, not get these compromises. But generally speaking, a percent is about right.
Yeah.
So realistically, over 12 week sort of period, you lose like sort of 6% of your body weight. Between 6 and 10% of your body weight, absolutely fine. And then just going into the final bits, then depends what the weigh-in time is. Again, if you have a short weigh-in time, low sodium, low fiber, 1 to 2 days out. The thing with like low fiber diet as well, tends to be a lot lower in carbohydrates, so you actually lose little carbohydrate stores there, and the water associated with that, so you get a little bit extra weight loss. Because longer, then maybe starting like 4 to 5 days out, perhaps water loading and carbohydrate depletion, and look there. Okay. So you probably store about 500, depends how much muscle you have really, but typically speaking, you have about 100 grams of glycogen stores in the liver, and then between like 400 to 800 grams of carbohydrates or glycogen stores in the muscle. So you can lose, and then you got like for every gram of glycogen, it pulls 3 grams of water into it. So you can lose up like 2 kilos there quite easy, 2 kilos plus, if you go through a complete sort of depletion.
Yeah. So
but then you need 24 hours to fully replete that. So
you touched on, you mentioned there about depending on how much fat you've got to lose and how much muscle you've got. Have you ever found, because in all honesty, I've only ever known the heavier weight classes, or guys in the heavier weight classes, and women to be fair, to wanting to drop down a little bit weight to make the weight of a lower weight class. Do you usually find that it's easier for heavier people to drop a little bit of a weight compared to lighter people, or doesn't it really matter?
Generally speaking, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with negating those sort of trade-offs and compromises, for sure.
Yeah. Do you usually find that people at the lower weight classes, it's quite a rarity that they need to drop weight, and would you recommend them not dropping weight because they're already relatively light?
Yeah, I guess like these sort of mid classes, maybe like 70 to 90 kilos, they're usually absolutely fine. Bigger guys, they need to drop a little bit. And then like the super light ones, they have like fat loss sort of needs and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Well, not always fat loss needs, so I say weight loss needs. To get into that lower weight category. Because we generally are just quite small people.
Yeah.
So sometimes they do need to lose like 1 to 2 extra kilos.
Okay. And then you mentioned when you weighed in, depending on the weigh-in. So usually I'll use powerlifting because that's the only weight category sport I've competed in.
Yeah.
You've done your weigh-in. You've now made weight. And then I know I've done it before where I've just ate after the weigh-in.
Yeah.
What sort of your can that have an effect? Because obviously you have been trying to drop weight down, fat's been going down. What's your recommendation for, right, you've made weight, what's then the next thing that you do after you've weighed in and before you start lifting?
Yeah, so there's 2 main priorities really. Is, I guess, depends what strategy you've done, but in both cases I will look at carbohydrate replenishment, so get your carb intake up to manage your blood glucose, and perhaps restore a little bit of liver glycogen, perhaps a little bit of muscle glycogen if it gets there in time, and then just rehydrating. So that'll be like water, electrolytes. So the main thing is that with like people just try and cram so much food, so much sport drinks and stuff like that in it, and it just gives you gut issues. So you feel a little bit uncomfortable when you go into the platform. So like optimal replenishment strategies are in terms of carbohydrates is 1.2 grams per kilo of carbs, per kilo of body weight, per hour for up to 3 to 4 hours. So if you're 100 kilos, that's 120 grams of carbs on hours 1, 2, 3, and 4. That seems to be like the optimal sort of replenishment strategy.
Yeah.
And
so,
then,
go on, sorry.
With like your fluid then, everybody sort of absorbs water at a different rate, but generally speaking, it's between like 500 to 800 mil, perhaps like a litre per hour. So necking like 2 litres straight away, you might just pee a lot of it out.
What would you recommend in terms of eating, in terms of the carbs? Because I know you see some people at powerlifting meets, weightlifting meets, and then just absolutely cramming loads of flapjack and sweets and that sort of stuff. What's the actual ideal scenario, if you like? Or when you said there about obviously you don't want anything to start affecting your gut, would it just be down to the person, whatever they feel like eating, as long as it's carb based?
Yeah, so a lot of it's personal preference. So I'm never going to give someone a food that they don't like having. So that's going to make them feel pretty shit, to be fair.
Yeah.
So in terms of, you see people just neck like a dextrose drink or something like that. So dextrose is just glucose, and you can absorb that about 1 gram per minute. So generally speaking, if you go higher than that, then it just bottlenecks in your gut, and you get like a lot of gut issues from there. So if you were to do it, then you have like a mixture of carbohydrates. So you can either have a glucose fructose sort of drink, or what I like doing is like, say you have Luke's Sport, like 500 ml has about 30 grams of carbs in. What I do is have that, and then have like some fruit, some like a flapjack or something like that, and they work like really well there. So just carbohydrates, so you don't just saturate this one glucose sort of carbohydrate transport in the gut. That's what I like to do, and just make sure again you trial and training so you know everything sits with you well and it works. Like, don't get fancy with food choices. Don't go out for food and have something you haven't had before, because you don't know how it's going to react. So just have everything nice and plain. Don't go fancy. Definitely keep carbs up. Keep your fat down and your fiber down. And your protein down as well, because that slows down gastric emptying. Therefore, it's just going to bottleneck in your gut. So you want it in your gut, digest and absorb, boom, straight into the sort of, into the blood, into the muscle, stuff like that. So you don't want to slow down. That's why sort of low glycemic index carbohydrates probably aren't going to be as good as high glycemic carbohydrates in the short space of like a 4 hour sort of replenishment period, just because the fiber associated with low glycemic carbs, like whole grain stuff like that, like sweet potato, all that stuff, will slow down the absorption. You kind of just want to bump in and then out.
Yeah, it's good to see. I know I've told people on comp days, don't change too much. Stick to sort of what you're comfortable with, and maintain that. And now you've just sort of backed up some reasoning behind it. So just about actually dropping weight and that sort of stuff. You see some people that drop weight for a competition, every single competition that they're competing. Is dropping weight for a competition sustainable? Can you keep having high performance, keep trying to shoot up a weight, and then you have to try to make weight? Is it sustainable? Is it going to benefit your performance in the long run?
Ooh, nice one. It depends how it'll affect your training cycle, I guess. We know that probably calorie restrictions aren't going to be the most optimal thing for building muscle strength, fueling performance, recovering, adapting, stuff like that. So if they're always going on like a cut, then competing, then perhaps go off the wagon for 1 to 2 weeks, put like 5-10 kilos back on, then needing to do it again over the course of the year, shall we say, they're mostly in a calorie deficit, and that's not going to be conducive for their performance at all. And so they need to find a weight that they can maintain that and be stable at. If they're always in a deficit, it's probably not going to be ideal. If they could get in a deficit once, and then maintain within like that perhaps 2 to 5% sort of range, then yeah, that's fine. But if they can't, perhaps it may be worth them going up a weight class.
Yeah, I mean, because usually sometimes people sit at a weight, you know, when they're quite comfortable, the body, or I could be wrong, your body naturally sits at a weight that meets their lifestyle, how much they're eating, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I would say it's not the end of the world if is that their body telling them something that, right, maybe you do have to be a heavier weight class.
Yeah, for sure. Like you touched on there, like the social elements of it, the lifestyles, you know, they're always in a deficit, they're always grumpy. You know,
Yeah. So cutting weight has only a limited lifespan in terms of your performance, would you say?
for sure. Again, depends how frequently you're competing. Like if you're doing every sort of 2 to 3 months, then should we say every 3 months, and you only have to sort of cut the last few days before going into it, then okay, that's not too much of an issue at all. But if you have to do a 12-week cut for every single competition,
Yeah,
then it can be ideal. But if you're doing one competition a year, then okay, you probably could stay at a high weight class, do all the like beneficial sort of training, and then sort of cut in the last sort of 12 weeks.
yeah.
Or maybe like 20 weeks out and bring your calories back up so it's a little bit nicer.
Okay. Depending on the level of the lifter or the person competing, would you ever tell somebody not to cut weight, or doesn't it really matter on the level of the lifter? I know from a coach's point of view, you just want people to get onto the platform, so I don't want them worrying about putting through a weight. But in terms of, you know, the actual complexity of doing it and that sort of stuff, does it not really matter on the level of the lifter?
I guess it's more to do with their performance. Like if they're always having to cut a lot of weight and they're always sort of having bad performances because they've had to do a big aggressive cut, and they haven't quite done it properly, then yeah, I'd probably suggest it's long term, it's not going to be beneficial for you. So it probably isn't due to like the level, it's more the case of what they're like after cutting. Some people can train really well in a dehydrated state and then compete well in a dehydrated state, so they don't have sort of differences in performance, whereas some people will just completely write them off and they can't do anything.
Yeah.
So again, it's that boring and sort of like it comes down to the individual quite a lot.
Yeah.
Just ask them like, how do you feel when you sort of having the cut? What's your energy like? What's your performance like? What's your stress like?
Yeah.
Because again, being super stressed can cause the sort of kidneys to reabsorb water, and therefore you weigh heavier. Your body fat may be down because you're so stressed. Your body weight stays the same.
Right. Okay.
Just things like that. Like I know people are super stressed and they are losing body fat, but the weight's probably staying the same.
Yeah.
From like an aesthetic point of view, that's fine, but you know you have to make weight. So stuff like that then can sort of interfere with sort of actual weight loss, even though you're in a calorie deficit.
Okay. Interesting. So if anyone watching, I know quite a lot of people who are watching are powerlifters or who are competing in some form of weight category sport. Quite a lot of information to take away from you there. So just to sort of round off this chat, what would be your top tips and what do you want people to take away from this chat of actually trying to make weight or trying to cut weight for a competition? What would be your take home point?
Yeah, cool. So first of all, do it early. So do it early in the training cycle. So you got your two phases, your chronic sort of weight loss and then your acute. If you got a lot of weight to lose, get the most of it off first and then just fine tune going towards into it. And then your weight cut strategy then is very much depends on the time between the weigh-in and time of competing. So if you've got a couple of hours, you've got a low fiber diet, your low residue diet, and then you've got your sort of sodium sort of intake that you can pull out. Where if you've got maybe a 24-hour sort of weigh-in, then yeah, you do have a little bit of luxury of decreasing carbohydrate intake, so glycogen depletions and sort of water loading and stuff there. With water loading, again, just try it in training. If you want to do it, it seems like a bit of a buzz thing to do. Try it in training, a real competition, and see how you respond to it. you don't want to sort of rock up to the day thinking like, oh, I'm going to lose 3 kilos overnight, and then you don't. What do you do then? Yes, that's what I like to do. And then, avoiding any sort of like bad practice, like super like forced dehydration, saunas, all that sort of stuff, where you can't really like walk onto the platform, you're cramping up, you're falling over. It's not good. So try and stay away from that sort of stuff.
Okay. So if anyone has any questions, or I know you mentioned about the online nutrition coaching that you do. If anyone has any questions for you, or where to find you and get involved in some nutrition coaching with you, where can people find you?
Yeah, so also got my website, so chrislownutrition.com. But then I'm going to be very active on Instagram and Facebook, so just /Chris Lowe Nutrition. And you get a hold of me there, just drop me a DM or just interact with my posts, and we'll probably get back to you there.
Sweet, as always, lots and lots of information. I feel like every time we chat, I'm just like, wow, how did I not know that? How did I not know that before? Yeah, definitely. If anyone has any questions or wants to get involved in some nutrition coaching, get involved with Chris. Yeah, really knows his stuff. As always, thanks a lot for listening, for watching, and I will see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.